The day that JD was injured, I had woke up to a odd phone call at really early hours of the morning. I looked over at our 11-month-old daughter and she stood up in the bed looking right at me like something was not right. It was the military calling to tell me that he had stepped on an IED.
My role in the Army was I was an infantry scout. I was a squad leader for a recon element. 3 days after I got injured, I woke up from a coma. My first thought was, I'm definitely dead. I thought I was like literally in the waiting room going into heaven. This doctor come walking in, he was like, "You're awake," and asked if I wanted to talk to my wife, and got to hear her voice.
Just hearing his voice definitely made things much easier in an extremely difficult week. We weren't really sure what to expect when we first saw him. The Army doesn't really prepare you for injuries. They either prepare you for the soldier to come home or not to come home at all. They don't prepare you for the in-between.
Coming to terms with my injury was definitely difficult. I didn't want to make her stay with me being in the condition that I was in. When I realized my legs were gone and my right arm was gone, my dominant arm, it was just demoralizing. Once I realized I could do the things that I loved the most, I came to terms with my injuries and accepted them. And my daughter wasn't like fully developed when I left, you know, she was only 5 months old, barely any hair and stuff. And when I came home, I see this little curly-headed blonde girl walk into my room tugging on all my cords and stuff that are attached to me, and I couldn't help but just be so happy, and my daughter's everything to me.
For me, there was no specific point where I became a caregiver. I just fell into that role. Once he was injured, I dropped everything to go and be with him. There's things that I do for him that is considered caregiving that to me is considered just loving him. I think for us, mobility is a huge challenge. Every single time we leave the house, we have to make sure that where we're going is wheelchair accessible. An average day for us now compared to 9 years ago when he was first injured is very different. He does require a lot less of my help. He has become more independent, but at the same time, we never know from day to day.
I was having an anxiety attack like a week ago, and I had to have her just sit there and talk to me and tell me everything was okay, just to calm me down. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be bathing or getting dressed. Just seeing her every day motivates me to conquer the day.
The Coalition to Salute America's Heroes helps severely wounded or disabled veterans just with basic needs such as emergency financial aid. For our family specifically, they tremendously helped us out with employment through their Heroes Thinking Heroes program. They also hold several retreats and conferences that are definitely life-changing events. We were given the opportunity to be peer-to-peer mentors in a session that they did at a Road to Recovery conference. It opened our eyes as to what kind of difference that we could make in the lives of other veterans and caregivers.
You know, you live to tell the stories of your brothers that made sure you got home, and I can't save all the veterans out there, but I'm going to do my best till the day I die to help as many of my brothers and sisters around the world.
The mission of the Veterans Caregiver Alliance is to really improve the quality of life of our post 9/11 caregivers to our severely wounded veterans. There's definitely gaps in what services are provided for caregivers and what resources are fulfilled, and building a program where everyone knows that they have another caregiver that has experienced similar situations that may be able to help them through. We've probably experienced more challenges than most couples will experience their entire lives. But I think for us, just finding that balance and coming to terms with this is our life now and this is how it's going to be. We can choose to lose or we can choose to grow. And so we've just kind of chose the growth part of it.
With every veteran out there, whether they're wounded or not, there is also a caregiver that's just as much a hero as that veteran is. Those caregivers need to be thanked for their service as well, because the day I got injured, she got wounded as well. And the veterans are always getting viewed as this war hero and stuff, but we wouldn't be the men that we are and the women that we are today if it wasn't for our better half helping us every direction we go.
Just because the war overseas is winding down, the physical and psychological needs of our nation's wounded veterans are going to be around for a really long time. JD's legs and his right arm are not going to grow back. He's going to require some type of care usually my care for the rest of his life. Everywhere out there in your community, there are veterans like JD. They might not be missing legs or an arm, but they may have PTSD, TBI that you don't see. Look around, find the veterans in your community, find the nonprofits that support veterans, and offer your time if you don't have the financial resources to offer. There's always a way to help.